Alright, hey, Mondays with Mike. Today I want to show you a couple things that over the winter I took some time and I kind of semi-invented a few things to make our life a little bit easier around here. So I made this axle. These tires, I think I got them at Tractor Supply, but these are tires that are filled with some kind of foam so they never go flat. All the pneumatic tires that I have, every time I go use something, it seems like it's, you know, flat and I got to pump it up. So these are supposed to be, you know, never flat tires. So anyway, I put two of these things on this axle, and then I'm going to stick them underneath of our potting bench. So I'll show you exactly how we do that. All right, so if you remember, this was my legless potting bench design. I made this thing and I've used it for years with no legs. But now that we're filling it with a front end loader, that wasn't working well. So I built this frame for it last summer, and we set it up on a frame, which worked a lot better. Then over the winter, I made the axle. So all we do is push that underneath it there, and we can move this bench wherever we need to go with it, so that it is much easier to move around. That way, wherever we're potting, we move the bench to where we're potting, and then carry the soil back there with the front end loader, dump it on the bench, and we're good to go. I made a little cart for carrying our small plants and move them around, so let's go take a look at that. All right, so as we're making our way back there, here's something else that I've been working on. The last winter and early this spring, Dustin and I dug all these Japanese maples. So I put railroad ties along the container area, because the container area is 8 inches lower than everything else. I'm putting down black plastic, and then I'm going to set all these bald trees on the plastic, because this is it's a nylon burlap, so it won't rot, that's on these trees. So I don't have to worry about the bottom coming out, but if I just set them on the ground, they're going to root into the ground, and then we can't really sell them during the season because they're rooted in and we'd have to sever roots. So that's why I'm putting them on the plastic. So I'm in the process of getting all the Japanese maples that we dug onto this black plastic, and then this will be our sales area, you know, from here on, really. So anyway, just to give you an idea how we're, you know, this wouldn't work well if I was using a regular burlap where the bottom would rot out, you know. So when I buy burlap for things that I know I'm going to have for a little while, I always buy, they used to call it poly beige, maybe have some other crazy name for this stuff, but anyway, it's not biodegradable. So, all right, let's take a look at the garden cart. Anyway, another thing that we kind of struggle with is we only have all these small plants in containers. So I made this little cart. Basically, it's just plywood with a 2x4 base around there. But then I bought some 1/2-inch steel, welded a flat washer on top of that, and then put chicken wire around here so we can double stack plants without having them fall off of the wagon. And we can haul a lot of small potted plants where we're bringing them up to sell, or whether we've just potted them and we need to move them to a container area. So basically, I just made a steel frame, and because these tractors have such a low draw, the hitch is so low, I put a little bit of offset. I don't know if you can see that in the hitch there. But anyway, so far this thing has been pretty handy because we've been able to put it to good use already this spring, moving a lot of plants with it. The last thing I want to show you, I have no idea what to call it. I've been calling it my furniture mover, and it's fantastic for moving heavy items. So we're going to kind of demonstrate that. Right now, I struggle around here moving heavy things around, and I've actually got an old Troy-built rototiller that it's a real pain to unlock the wheels so you can freewheel it. So it takes like a half hour to move it from one end of the property to the other where you want to rototill. So I made this platform, I call it my furniture mover, and this thing is absolutely amazing because the other day I came here with those railroad ties. Yeah, you know, I put the ties along there I just showed you. I had a tie and a half left over. I just roll them onto this board, and I put two draw clamps on there with a cable, and away I go. You can move stuff anywhere. So this is the Dawn redwood tree. I dug that, you know, last week or something like that. And then there's a Tamakiyama Japanese maple on the back. So anyway, you can see how easily these things weigh a ton. But you can easily move them with this, my so-called furniture mover. So as you can see, this thing works great. My original design, I was going to put an axle similar to the one I showed you under the front, but before I could get that done, I needed it to move those railroad ties, and it works perfect the way it is. So it'll stay the way it is until I completely wear out the piece of plywood, and I'll just change the plywood. So anyway, this is Mondays with Mike. I hope some of this stuff is giving you an idea, something that you might be able to do to save yourself a little bit of labor, save your back. We'll check in with you. You know, we're getting ready to do our first plant sale here in a few days, so for the spring. So we'll check back with you in a week or so.